My hands were shaking before I even understood why. It was a Tuesday morning, nothing special about it. I remember the coffee maker sputtering behind me, the smell of burnt toast still hanging in the kitchen. My son, Ethan, was 17, and he'd been quiet for weeks. I told myself it was just school stress. Senior year does that to kids. I grabbed my keys off the counter, ready to head to the garage like I did every single morning of my life. That's when Ethan stepped in front of the door. He didn't say good morning. He didn't ask where I was going. He just stood there, blocking the exit, his jaw tight, his eyes red like he hadn't slept. "Dad," he said, his voice cracking in a way I'd never heard before. "If you go inside, you're not gonna forgive yourself." I froze. Inside where? I hadn't said a word about going anywhere but work. My chest tightened. My mind raced through every possibility, and none of them made sense. Behind him, down the hallway, I heard something, a sound I couldn't place yet, but I would never forget it. My mouth went dry. Inside where, Ethan? He didn't answer right away. His hands were balled into fists at his sides, knuckles white. Behind him, that sound came again, a soft thud, like something being moved carefully so it wouldn't be heard. My eyes flicked past his shoulder toward the hallway that led to my home office. 3 weeks earlier, I'd started working from the house 2 days a week. My boss called it flexibility. I called it a blessing, more time with my family. Ethan used to duck into that office to ask me for gas money or borrow the car. Lately, he'd stopped coming in at all. "Move, buddy," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I got a meeting." "No," he said it, flat, final, something I'd never heard from him before. Ethan was the kid who apologized for bumping into furniture. This wasn't him. I studied his face. 17 years old, but in that moment he looked older, like something had aged him overnight. His eyes weren't just scared, they were pleading. "Ethan, what is going on?" He swallowed hard. "Just trust me, please, don't go in there today." I looked past him one more time. The hallway light was still glowing where it shouldn't have been. I always turned it off before bed. Someone else was in my house. I stood there for a second too long, my brain trying to catch up with what my body already knew. Something was wrong in my own house. "Is your mom home?" I asked. Ethan's eyes dropped to the floor. That was answer enough. Rachel had told me she was leaving early for a dentist appointment. Her car wasn't in the driveway. I'd noticed that when I walked past the window, but I hadn't thought twice about it. Now it felt like a missing piece I should have caught. "Ethan, please," Ethan said again, softer this time, like he was begging instead of blocking. "Just go to work. I'll explain tonight, I promise." "You'll explain tonight?" I repeated. "Ethan, there is someone in my house right now, and you want me to just leave?" He didn't say anything. That silence told me more than words could have. I thought about all the small things I'd brushed off the last few weeks. Rachel taking her phone into the bathroom. Rachel changing the office door code and saying it was for work stuff. Ethan flinching every time I mentioned surprising her with lunch. I'd been calling it stress, all of it. I looked at my son, and for the first time in my life, I didn't trust my own home. "Move," I said quietly. "Now." Ethan didn't move. Instead, he grabbed my arm with both hands, something he hadn't done since he was a little boy scared of thunderstorms. "Dad, listen to me," he said, his voice shaking. "Whatever you think this is, it's not that simple. If you walk in there right now, you're gonna do something you can't take back. I know you. I know how you get." That stopped me cold, because he was right. I had a temper I'd spent years learning to control. The last time I lost it, I put a hole in a drywall after finding out a coworker stole credit for my work. Ethan had seen it happen. He never forgot it. "What did you see?" I asked him directly. "Tell me exactly what you saw, Ethan." He looked away, toward the hallway light still glowing where it shouldn't have been. I didn't mean to see anything. I came home early from practice. I heard voices. Whose voices? He hesitated so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Mom's, he finally said, and somebody else's. A man's. The words landed like a physical blow. My vision narrowed to that hallway, to that light, to the door at the end of it that led to my office, the one room in the house with a lock on the inside.
"Move," I said again, my voice barely above a whisper now. This time he did. The hallway felt longer than it had ever felt in 14 years of living in that house. Every step echoed. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, drowning out everything else. I reached the office door. It was closed, locked, just like Ethan said. I stood there for a second, hand hovering over the handle, my whole body trembling with something between rage and terror. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. "Rachel," I said, "open the door." Silence, then footsteps, quick and light, moving away from the door instead of toward it. A drawer opened and shut. Something scraped against the floor, like furniture being pushed. "Rachel!" The lock clicked. The door opened slowly, just a few inches. Rachel stood there, pale, her hair messy, her blouse buttoned wrong like she'd dressed in a hurry. Her eyes were wide, glassy like she'd been crying or was about to. Behind her, the office looked different. My desk chair was pushed to the side. The window, the one that led to the side yard, was cracked open, curtains fluttering in the morning breeze. "What is going on?" I asked, my voice cracking despite myself. "Where is he, Rachel?" She didn't answer. She just stared at me, like a woman caught between two truths, deciding which one could still save her. Rachel's mouth opened, then closed again. Her hands twisted the hem of her blouse like she was trying to physically hold herself together. "There's nobody here," she said finally. "Ethan misheard something. He's a kid. Don't," I cut her off. "Don't you dare lie to me right now. The window is open, Rachel. It's October. Nobody opens a window in October unless they're trying to air something out or let somebody out." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't feel sorry for her. Not yet. I stepped past her into the office, scanning every corner like a man searching a crime scene. My eyes landed on the small side table by the window. A coffee mug sat there, steam still rising faintly from it. 2 mugs, actually. Mine was still in the kitchen, untouched. "Whose is that?" I asked, pointing. She didn't answer. Behind me, I heard Ethan in the hallway, quiet, watching everything unfold with the same dread he'd been carrying since I walked through that door. I turned back to Rachel. "You said dentist appointment. Your car isn't even in the driveway, Rachel. Where is it?" Her face crumbled. "Down the street," she whispered. "I parked it down the street." That single sentence told me everything I needed to know, and nothing at all, because now I needed to know who. Rachel sank into the office chair like her legs had given out. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The curtains kept moving in the breeze, soft and steady, mocking how calm the room looked compared to how I felt inside. "Say his name," I said. "Whoever it is, say it." She shook her head, tears running freely now. "It's not what you think, Daniel. It was going to stop. I was going to end." "End what?" I said, my voice rising despite myself. "You haven't even told me what it is." Ethan stepped into the doorway behind me, his face pale. "Dad, please, just breathe. This isn't why I stopped you. There's more to it, I swear." I turned to him, confused. "More to it? Ethan, your mother just admitted to hiding a man in my house."
"I know," he said quickly. "I know. But Dad, listen. The reason I panicked wasn't just about Mom. It's about who he is." Something in his tone made my stomach drop even further, like there was a floor beneath the floor I thought I was standing on. "What do you mean, who he is?" I asked slowly. Ethan looked at his mother, then back at me, his eyes glassy. "Dad, it's Uncle Craig." The room went silent. My own brother's name hung in the air like smoke that wouldn't clear. My brother, Craig. The man who stood beside me at our father's funeral. The man who co-signed my first car loan when I had nothing. The man who used to sleep on my couch during his divorce, telling me over beers that he'd never do to someone what his ex-wife did to him. "You're lying," I said. But even as the words left my mouth, pieces started falling into place. Craig showing up more often the last few months, always when I was at work. Craig texting Rachel about checking on the house while I was traveling for business. Rachel laughing at things that weren't even funny when his name came up at dinner. I'd seen it. I just hadn't let myself see it. "How long?" I asked Rachel, my voice hollow now instead of angry. The anger would come back. Right then, all I felt was a strange, sinking numbness. She wouldn't look at me. "4 months," she whispered. 4 months. Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, when Craig showed up with a bottle of my favorite whiskey and hugged me a little too long, said he was proud of the man I'd become. Ethan's voice broke through the fog in my head. "Dad, that's not even everything. That's why I stopped you, because if you'd walked in and seen him, I didn't know what you'd do." I looked at my son, 17 years old, carrying a secret that could have destroyed our family, trying to protect me from myself. "Where is he now?" I asked quietly. Ethan swallowed. "He went out the window before you got to the door." I walked to the window Rachel had left cracked open, gripping the frame with both hands. Outside, the side yard was empty, except for a flattened patch of grass near the fence, footprints leading toward the gate that opened onto the alley behind our house. He was already gone, already running. Some part of me wanted to chase after him, to catch him in that alley and make him answer for 4 months of betrayal disguised as brotherhood. But another part of me, the part that raised a son who just risked everything to stop me from making a mistake, kept my feet planted right where they were. "How did you know?" I asked Ethan, not turning around yet. My voice wasn't angry. It was tired. "I found out 3 weeks ago," he said. "I saw his truck leaving early one morning when I left for practice. I told myself I imagined it. Then I saw it again and again." 3 weeks, I repeated. "I didn't know how to tell you," he said, his voice breaking. "You and Uncle Craig, you're best friends, Dad. I didn't want to be the one who ruined that. I kept hoping it would just stop on its own."
Rachel made a small sound behind me, somewhere between a sob and a plea. I finally turned around and looked at her, really looked at her, the woman I'd built 17 years of memories with. "It didn't stop," I said. "It just got quieter." Rachel stood up from the chair, reaching toward me. I stepped back before she could touch me. "Daniel, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" I said. "That my own brother's been sneaking through that window for 4 months while I was at work trying to provide for this family? That my son's been carrying this alone because he didn't want to break my heart?" Her tears kept falling, but they didn't move me the way they might have an hour earlier. Something in me had gone still and cold, like a switch had flipped. "I need you to leave," I said quietly. "Not forever, just today. I need space to think, and you need to go somewhere else while I do that." "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked. "I don't know, Rachel. Maybe start with wherever Craig's staying." The words came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't take them back. She flinched like I'd slapped her, then gathered her purse from the desk and walked past Ethan and me without another word. A few seconds later, I heard the front door close, softer than I expected. No slamming, just quiet finality. Ethan and I stood alone in the office, the curtains still swaying gently from the open window. "Dad," he said, "are you okay?" I looked at him, this kid who'd grown into someone braver than I realized. "No," I admitted. But I will be, because of you. The days after that morning blurred together in a strange, heavy fog. Rachel stayed with her sister across town. Craig didn't call, didn't text, didn't show up with a bottle of whiskey and some excuse dressed up as an apology. His silence told me he knew there was nothing he could say that would fix what he'd broken. I spent that first night sitting on the back porch with Ethan, 2 mugs of coffee going cold between us, neither of us saying much. Just being there together felt like enough. I keep thinking about all the years, birthdays, holidays. I trusted him with everything. Ethan nodded slowly. I kept replaying it too, trying to figure out when it started, trying to figure out if there were signs before I saw his truck that morning. There probably were, I admitted. I just didn't want to see them. Sometimes you trust people so much, you stop looking. A week later, Craig finally showed up at my door, uninvited. He stood on the porch, hands shoved in his pockets, looking smaller than I remembered. "Danny," he started, "I know I don't deserve—" "You're right," I said, cutting him off before he could finish. I closed the door, not out of rage this time, but out of peace. I didn't need his explanation. I already had my truth, and it came from the one person who mattered most in that house. My son. 3 months passed before I could look at my life and see something steady again. Rachel and I are still working through what's left of our marriage, slowly, honestly, no more locked doors between us. Craig moved 2 states away. I heard through my mother that he got a new job, a new apartment, a new start he probably didn't earn. I've made my peace with never knowing if he actually feels sorry. But the moment I carry with me isn't the betrayal. It's my son standing in that doorway, 17 years old, shaking, trying to protect me from a truth that would have broken me faster than it did. Some nights, I still think about what would have happened if Ethan hadn't been standing there, if I'd walked through that door with nothing but instinct and rage. I don't know what I would have done. I don't want to know. What I do know is this: the people who love us don't always protect us with words. Sometimes they protect us by standing in the way, even when it costs them something to do it. My son didn't stop me from finding the truth that day. He just made sure I found it as a man, and not as someone I couldn't take back.